Welcome, everybody, to the CX Engine Show, where we are fueling growth through customer experience. I'm Brooke Sellas, and I'm here with my amazing co-host, Kenneth. Kenny, his friends know him as Shark. I call him KK. And we have a really bend your noodle conversation that we're going to have today. So I'm excited. Kenneth.
Is that a pool noodle?
Yeah, I was thinking more of like a spaghetti noodle,
spaghetti noodle. Okay.
Because the pool noodle has some tension. This bit my noodle like a spaghetti noodle.
Okay. Well,
maybe even tied in a knot, the spaghetti noodle.
Yeah, well, kind of like most customer service operations, tied in a knot.
Yeah.
How's that for a segue?
So I'll start out because it's a really interesting subject, and I'm sure most of you are going to be like, okay, y'all, we know this stuff. But Kenneth, how do you feel empathy plays a role in customer experience?
There's none, and we try to do it as poorly as possible. So it depends on, I think it's kind of like marketing. We focus all the packaging, the surface level stuff. We've got all the right buzzwords in there. We know to, use the words empathy 2 or 3 times and say you're sorry or be nice. But what happens so often is the customer still gets frustrated because where we used to think of customer service didn't care in the past, maybe it was 10,000 miles away. Even if you onshore it, unless you can help fix their problem or get some sort of resolution or figure out how to unbend the noodle. So,
yes.
Sounds like a Matrix metaphor. It's really one of the things that I super get frustrated with, because so often when someone, I had a problem, I kept bringing up about my phone system, and I ran into several people on their loyalty and CX teams that use the right buzzwords, but you could feel like, we're reading it. They're reading a script, and you could tell, and they don't seem very empathetic. And then over a period of time, I got 3 people who were very empathetic, completely nice, very helpful. They offered to spend as much time on the phone as I needed to try to get them to fix the problem. What I noticed though with each time, and I think this is interesting when you think in relation to customer services, it's hard enough for us to go lean into them to help fix our problem. I don't even think half the people inside customer service, if they were given a compass and a flashlight, that they would ever be able to find the solution inside their own, Rube Goldberg machine. It's a tangled mess. And when they don't do that, and you can feel that some of them are really trying, it becomes so much more frustrating than it was had you ever just not called them in the first place. What made you think of this?
Well, so as you know, I came across this report about empathy from a company called Tether, and they worked with Zendesk and another brand to kind of use artificial intelligence to look at empathy in CX conversations. Mm-hmm. And what they found, bit my noodle and put it in a knot, which was when you try to calm an upset customer down, when you invoke empathy, a lot of times it actually makes the customer more angry. It doesn't help in a lot of situations. It especially doesn't help when you're offering an apology as a way of empathy, right? Gosh, I'm so sorry that happened to you. I'd be frustrated too. But then you don't have a solution. Gosh, Kenneth, I'm so sorry that happened to you. I'd be frustrated too, but my hands are tied. There's nothing I can do. He doesn't give a flying flip about that apology, right? Because I didn't give him a solution to his problem, which is why they are coming to you. That is the main goal. That is the only goal they have, is the solution.
Well, to your point, the point of several points in your book, it really is that they're not having conversations that connect. And how's that for a drop? Yeah. I get a residual fee with that in perpetuity,
3
hopefully.
3 cents on the dollar.
Yeah, 3 cents on the. But everything you can tell is written out well. One of the references they brought up, though, that I think we have to be careful of, was they brought up a reference about an airline and how apologies could hurt if you had a flight canceled. And they must have been watching the news when this all happened to Southwest and all those kind of things. But the conversation that they had in there is, you don't also have to appease every customer. And we focus sometimes on the language, the idea of empathy and getting the problem fixed. I don't know that necessarily if you use one word versus another, for example, when a flight gets canceled, because most people understand it's an act of God. There's only so much you can do. But when every flight you have gets canceled for some goofy hub and spoke concept that's 20 years outdated, like your technology, regardless of how nice you are, they've got to be empowered with a solution, not just with empathetic words and surface feelings. And that solution is what drives the core of the business. And that's where they get too far away from it. Yeah.
So you and I were talking on a past show. Make sure you go listen to all the shows if you haven't already. They're really cool and good and amazing. We were talking about the A cubed in the book, which we use for our customer care agents. And the first one is acknowledgement. So this is where my bent noodle went into a knot, was because in this report, they said that, there's 3 types of acknowledgments that usually get you in trouble when it comes to empathy: apologies, empathy, and explanations. And well, obviously my heart dipped down into my toes, because I was like, oh my God, this is literally our system. The first thing is acknowledgement. But I think the important thing to note is, it's natural to apologize when someone's having a problem, especially if you really are an empathetic person and you have sympathy for whatever frustration that they're going to. But if you cannot provide a solution, you actually could be bringing that NPS score down versus up. So, I guess what's bending my noodle, and we should talk about, because I'm sure this might be bending other people's noodle, is so let's say you don't have a solution. What do you say? How do you approach that?
In the immortal words of Timbaland in One Direction, it's too late to apologize. So transparency to start.
Yes.
And putting on airs that you're going to be able to fix it for a problem doesn't happen. I'm literally getting a new stove ordered today or coming in today. It's being delivered here in a few hours. The stove that I had before, and we had a customer service issue with the repair company. It happens all the time, all over the country, every day. They ordered a part for it during the pandemic that they couldn't get, but they didn't tell us they couldn't get it for months and months and months. We kept having to follow up. You'd have to resurface every bit of this. The first time, though, this was 6 months later, and they finally gave up, sent an automated email saying, they sent an email saying, we couldn't get the product. We want to offer you this warranty back, whatever it was that we paid. It was like $100 for the service fee and whatever we paid for the part. Here's the money back. It's great, but if you've been transparent on the front end and let me know that the part maybe wouldn't come in, that you couldn't fix the problem, I've used that brand multiple times after. I just wish their communication could have been better. And so, a lot of customers will not just, and I think this is what a lot of companies are fearful of, that if you burn it with them, they'll never use you again. American Airlines has broken my bag. I've been canceled out of I don't know how many flights, and I still book with them all the time. Same thing with Delta. I mean, we have a lot of choices, but it's not like, and I hate to use this example because this is going to get you excited. It's not like makeup brushes where we have 500 examples. Most of the time, for a good qualified repairman, you're going to get a handful. And if they're more transparent with you, or an airline being more transparent with you of what they can fix and truly cannot fix, you can eliminate some of the song and dance that goes around it that really keeps people like me very frustrated.
Right. So, according to the report, what they were saying, the answer is to this question of what do you do, right? What do you do if you're not leading with empathy? They said the 3 top things people want, which we know: actions, solutions, and speed. So maybe if it's actions, it's like, Kenneth, I don't have a solution for what you're asking for today, but I'm going to put you with our engineering team who might be able to engineer a solution for you. Keep in mind, this could take a while, blah, 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 right? And if you're doing that right away, you're taking action, you're giving a sort of solution, even though it's not the, the end all be all solution. And maybe that's better than like, I'm so sorry. It's like, I'm on it. Here's the kind of sort of solution. And hopefully they can help you. But then you better have it worked out internally where somebody on that engineering team is, customer facing and working on those engineering fixes or solutions with the rest of the team.
I think another one too, especially in the B2B market, with anybody that's got any kind of enterprise technology, it's follow through. Because I get promised stuff a lot that they're going to get a fix to something and nobody ever follows through and actually does it. And, I'll give them a pass. Maybe they can't fix it today and I'll get bent out of shape for a couple of minutes. But if you can fix it, unless there's some sort of crazy deadline that you got to hit, I just want them to fix it. And otherwise, then I have to go look for another product or service to fill that bill. And that causes a hassle for me. So if you could just be one, transparent, and then actually follow through and get it done, set a fair timeline. I read something in the report about they don't just want empathy, they also want advocacy. And I get that. I simply want a little follow through. I want you I hired you to do something or to sell me a product or service that I'm going to buy or use. I need you to deliver that. And then if I have a problem with it, be transparent about it, authentic about it, and then follow through and get it resolved when when you've said you were going to get it resolved, or let me know why it doesn't get resolved. And so much of that can be done by just having a conversation that connects, as opposed to a script that somebody at some consultancy wrote somewhere that doesn't really connect with a human to human.
Yeah, I love that, because what a great fact. And also, I guess I would add, like, don't just, if you say you're going to do it on a Tuesday, say you're going to do it on a Wednesday, and then do it on the Tuesday. Like, over deliver, under promise, over deliver, right? I think that's important. And then what I found interesting too in the report is, like, how a lot of times you're on the phone with customer support and they do that whole, like, they coined the term in this report, powerless to help. Well, I wish I could help you, Kenneth, but unfortunately I can't rebook you on another flight. That whole, like, we think we're getting empathy back, right? As the brand, we're not. It makes it worse.
Yeah.
People hate that.
And this is what you're talking about is so well done when it's in a conversation. I say so well done. It's done better when it's in an actual voice-to-voice conversation. But think about how bad it's going to be. Is it Frontier that went all bots?
Yeah.
I mean,
was it Frontier
or Spirit? Anyway, I can't remember.
One of those.
It was Spiritair Airlines. So
Spiritair
or Frontit. But where we're moving with more of this, especially with AI, is whether it's a bot or not just doing something on the phone. There's so much tone and inflection that's lost, and it's really, I think right now what's driving a lot of brands is they think they know what we want to hear, and they're wrong. And that's what I think part of the struggle is in this article that we read, where we're injecting so much AI. We didn't like what you had before. You're not just using a few buzzwords like that are not going to trigger me if you can't fix my problem.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like, instead of going, I'm sorry, it's like, how do you flip from being empathy heavy, which, like, literally, I'm like taking this back to my team and we're having these discussions because we lead a lot of times with, gosh, I'm so sorry that happened to you. How can you move from I'm sorry to I'm going to fix it? And they gave a great example in the report. It was like, the customer comes to you, Kenneth is coming to Brooke, and he was overcharged for something. And instead of saying, I'm so sorry you were overcharged, or I know that charge must have really upset you, right? That extra charge. Instead, you lead with the action, which is, It appears you were charged twice for one transaction. I'm going to flag this charge so that the amount goes back into your account.
Yeah.
I didn't say sorry, but do you feel like we had a good, did you just lift a little bit with your opinion of the brand?
Yeah, no, not at all. And I'm telling you, this is what I just ran through with my phone company. This is why, and this I'll even pull in the follow through story. So they overcharged me. My credit card company, immediately, they sent out a text or an email that said, "Looks like you were charged twice. Is this correct?" I said, "No, it's not." They immediately refunded me whatever X dollars. The phone company that will be, it's like Voldemort. I don't want to say it too many times because they might turn off my phone
Beetlejuice.
in the middle of, yeah, exactly. So that's where all this argument started. And the thing that I didn't like about they were nice later on. They were very nice, the last three agents that I work with. However, they each said, "I have scheduled a call. I'm going to follow up and reach out to you on Friday the 12th, whatever it was." And each of them did this both times. The third one, I finally said, "Yeah, I appreciate it. It's not going to happen." Last two people told me that. And the third one never did follow up. And so a lot of this language around it, I just sort of discounted. They were nice people. They were trying to help. You could tell they were trying to help.
Right.
But again, it goes back. I don't know that half of these people actually know how to fix. If they had the same problem I did and they were a customer of their own company and they were inside the company, would they know or be empowered, whether it was with a flashlight or a compass or an abacus and a slide rule? I don't care. Are they going to be able to fix that problem inside this big tangled mess that they've created with so many different systems? And most people, they just get frustrated and move on.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think it's a shift that we're going to see. And it totally makes sense too, because we've been playing on the empathy card for how many years with CX. And, so I think we're going to see a shift from, empathy-based language to like the action-based or problem-solving language. And I don't think it's a bad idea. I'm going to have to restructure A cubed, but I'm okay with it because at the end of the day, we are all so exhausted by a million different things that are going on. We just want you to give us the solution. Like the sorry used to be something we wanted. Now it's just like, hey, just give me the solution. Let's just move on from this. And I don't want to have to contact you again, or in your case, get told 3 different times that I'm going to be followed up with and have it not happen.
Yeah. Well, in a lot of these ones that I've had with either phone companies or airlines and, cable companies are trying to do this now. It goes back. All of the buzzwords, the packaging, if you will, around customer service, it's all fine. You don't even need to tweak it anymore. Everybody generally knows what nice words to use in a conversation. But if it doesn't help, if they can't help you fix that problem, that's the only reason I came to you with my wallet open anyway. And I think too many companies forget that. And then when they do have a mistake, they don't empower the people that they do have to go in and get it fixed.
Yeah. So, well, I think it's a fascinating conversation. If any of you listening or watching want a copy of the report without going and putting in your information, hit up myself or Kenneth on LinkedIn. We will send you the PDF of this report because it's really interesting. And
I promise that I won't add them to any newsletters.
Oh yeah, we don't do that over here. That's not our bag. But if you do send us a note asking for the PDF, we might ask you to connect with us, because we know you're a listener. All right, so I guess that takes us to our champion and our Karen of the episode.
I have 2 guesses what yours is going to be. One's going to be around makeup and the other will be around anything that is makeup.
I only have one. And yes, well, it's not makeup, it's face care. Does that count as a different? It's still under the beauty umbrella, but it's not makeup, it's face care.
Fair enough.
Okay. Clean Skin Club has been running ads on Instagram, and I've seen them for months. And basically the whole ad goes like, hey, you wash your face with a washcloth? And I'm like, yes. And then it says, well, if you wash your face with a washcloth, guess what? There's all kinds of dead skin cells and bacteria and sometimes mold, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, ew, that's gross. And then they're like, so if you use something that's clean and sterile, your face is cleaner and gets less bacteria or has less breakouts, looks better, blah, blah, blah. So obviously I'm paying attention because, as you know, I'm makeup obsessed, face, beauty, whatever. So I order it. They send it in this really cool packaging, which if you want to see me opening the packaging, you can actually go to my Instagram. I posted it last night because that's how cool it was. Like I literally never do that, but I did it last night. And then they sent me a note today. So they must have known it got delivered. Then they sent me a note today from the owner with a personal note. And she was like, now you're part of like the cool club because of the order that I made. And she gave me an additional percentage off on my next purchase, which was a really good, it wasn't like a paltry like 5 or 10%. It was like 30% off my next order. And I thought that was amazing. So they must be, they're on it. They're striking while the iron's hot, and they're coming to me with a problem-solving phrase. It's not a problem, but they're like, hey, you got to purchase again? Here's 30% off, which is smart to get me to return.
Well, then I get to bring up the Karen of the episode, and I struggled because I had so many.
Oh no.
And I've fired a lot of brands recently that were doing some product or service for me. So I'm going to give a general one for you.
Okay.
It's the ones that you fire. It's any brand out there that has a customer fire them, but they continue to send them email coupons and things like that in their communication. There is a time for you to just get some time apart after you break up, not to stay on somebody's automated thread. And the best example that I often use is with a company that I had a relationship with for years. And I've been telling this story on stages in my own keynote presentations about one of the brands that I had fired after we had been together for 10 years. And the moment I fired them, I noticed the next day I started getting emails just telling me how great they were. Here's 10%, come back. Here's $20 off your next service, those kind of emails. So this came up.
Oh, like comeback emails.
Well, there were a few comeback emails. The rest of them were just, here's $20 off for your next visit, things like that. This happens a lot. And it happened to me 3 times with 3 different brands over the last 4 weeks. And I got another one yesterday. And as I was looking through them, thinking how many of these automated systems that people set up where their CRMs are not communicating with their MailChimp account or whatever it is. And they continue to really butcher the messaging, thinking that they need to stay in front of you, even though you should be dispositioned as this is an unhappy customer. So if you want to think about the opposite of empathy, think about the way customers look at you when they break up, and don't just keep spamming them with your sales and marketing messages, because there's a time where you have an angry breakup, a divorce, if you will. You don't want to send sweet nothings back in an email thread just because it's on your next campaign.
You should just send them a clip to "We are never, ever, ever getting back together." I'm a terrible singer. Anyways, wait, I have one follow-up question to this story because it's interesting. I understand like maybe trying to recapture a customer, you know, in a very specialized way. But when you broke up with them, had you unsubscribed?
Absolutely. Well,
so they don't even have the right to send you those emails.
No, okay. No, I unsubscribed with one of the 3. I got one message back from the one that I unsubscribed from that was another sales message. And what made me remember when I unsubscribed, it probably said something like, please allow 7 to 30 days. I get that. But the time when somebody when somebody stops service with you, it's not always that they want to be re-engaged for the next pricing option. It could be that your company delivered so poorly, and you've got to invest time into that to figure out whether or not skincare is this facial brand or Il Maki Mock or whatever it's called, or Harry and David or any of those are the best options for you. You've got to like let it understand the relationship you had with your customer, other than just sending cross-sell or upsell opportunities.
That would actually be a great topic for another show. Like, what can you do when you lose someone? Is there any way to come back? Like, how can you become the comeback kid brand who is able to recapture some of that churn? I'd love to talk about that.
Well, and I spend so much time in my own life and career, working on client acquisition. But I also have been the, angry old man who fired the client and or fired the company and told the kids to get out of his yard. So the more you start thinking about that, the more you have to understand the relationship you have with with customers in general, not just what you're spamming out in a lot of your email. So that being said, that's a great another topic for another day. So I want to thank you, Brooke. Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening. For details on how to connect with us, if you want to nominate somebody to be on the show, reach out to Brooke, reach out to me. Find us particularly probably best on LinkedIn, because Brooke says Twitter's on fire, but it can be yourself or anyone else working in CX. We're looking forward to chatting with you about CX and how it's fueling growth with you on the next show on the CX Engine Show. Have a great day.